Thank you, Mike. I want to welcome everybody to the Board of Aldermen regularly scheduled meeting. Today is Wednesday, April 3rd, and I want to just remind everybody to put not just their cell phones, because my watch gets me too, so your watch and your cell phones on silent, please, so we can proceed. So I'm going to officially call the meeting to order, and Alderman Grant is going to do our invocation for us today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next item is the approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve, and then we'll see if there's any changes? Motion to approve. Okay. Any changes?
I have a couple of suggestions.
Okay.
One is under new business, under C, with the DOT letter. I would like to take that off the agenda. As I understand, the representative from DOT is going to be here next month. Mm-hmm. And so it'd be something better to have them here to answer questions. And then also under that, I would like to add under new business, the Villa Capriani crosswalk discussion.
So my only question on that is, Alice, would that go under continuing business because we've been talking about crosswalks, or would you prefer new business?
Continuing.
Okay.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so the two suggested modifications would be to move the DOT discussion until May, when they can join us and answer questions, and then also add the Villa Capriani crosswalk under continuing business. So I have a motion, I have that modification request. Do I have a motion to accept the updated agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the updates just mentioned.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, thank you all. We're going to move on to the manager's report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. The beach projects, the Phase 5 work paused momentarily last week for the contractor to start and complete Phase 1 work, and which has been, they were able to wrap up Phase 1 last week, so that's very good news. Phase 5 has resumed this week once again after completion of Phase 1. The Division of Coastal Management has approved the town to continue work through April. In mid-April, we will revisit the May extension, where Fran will provide an update on progress and more current conditions. As previously reported, we've been communicating that we intend on wrapping up Phase 5 April 30th, but since the slow in the sand production and jumping to finish Phase 1 at this point in time, there may be a need to request an extension early into May, not late into May, but early into May, usually a week or so. But we'll have more to report on that as we proceed. As I reported, Phase 1 work, it started on the 25th and we wrapped up on the 29th. The contractor ended up placing sand on the Phase 1 area just south of Topsail Reef to the southernmost buildings of St. Regis. And again, we placed approximately around 20,000 cubic yards of sand. The Sea Oats Cost Share Project. I've been working with Coastal Transplants to establish the Sea Oats Cost Share Project for the season. We will be putting out a notice this week for residents to sign up for the program. This is available only to property owners of North Topsail Beach and not available to landscapers. The cost will be shared between the resident and the town in a 50-50 split, up to $25,000. The program will be administered fully 100% by Coastal Transplants, where residents will be able to sign up for the program through their website. On their order page, there will be a drop-down to apply for the cost share program with North Topsail Beach, and it will charge the property owner half of that cost. At the time of the order, the resident will be able to choose the delivery date. The predetermined delivery dates are May 10th, May 17th, May 31st, and June 7th. These are all Friday dates. Their website will have the directions to determine how many plants you would need, but if they do prefer, a representative will make theirself available from Coastal Transplants to look at their dune in particular and advise how many plants they would need. Coastal Transplants will be at Town Hall on Fridays that I mentioned previously from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Residents will meet the representative here in the parking lot at Town Hall and pick up their plants. Transplanting of sea oats will be the responsibility of the buyers. There will also be an option if you choose to go forward, if you can't do the install yourself and you want to engage Coastal Transplants, there will be an option there, but it's not mandatory, and that will be something that you would work out with them, and that would be an additional charge, and the town would not contribute to that portion of the expense. Please note also at the end of the program, Coastal Transplants will check to confirm the plants were planted at the property owner's address they signed up for. This is to make sure that, there was, mining contractors or landscapers that were purchasing the plants and using elsewhere, as it's my understanding that has transpired in the past. We budgeted $25,000 for this initiative, $25,000 on the revenue side and $50,000 on the expenditure side. In years past, the town administered the program and accepted payments. As I mentioned before, this year it will be administered fully by Coastal Transplants. So I just wanted to make that note and be transparent as far as the revenues coming in and the expenses of going out, how it was in the budget.
Just a quick question on that, and it's a nit. With them handling it, they're gonna have all the financial stuff. When we picked them up one time, an individual came up there and said, I don't want all the ones I ordered. Okay, I only want like 10% of them, and so I think the town got stuck with a bunch. This is gonna be all in Coastal Transplants now, right?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
They've already
Yeah,
paid.
the goal was to take the town out of that process because there seems to be been just a disconnect somewhere, and it just a lot easier for everyone if they fully administered the project. Fire station number 2, demolition will take place within the next 2 weeks. I requested a definitive timeline from the architect and contractor. I questioned the status because we were originally slated for demolition, as you know, this week. I spoke further with the contractor and architect yesterday, and the contractor reported that he had a slip on getting the site package ironed out with some of the verbiage. That has now been addressed, from what I'm being told, and they are working to get the pre-con submittals in and reviewed to move forward. If you drove by the site, you'll see that the fencing has been installed, and I understand the portable toilets have been installed, so they are setting up and getting ready. Once I do have a definitive day that they will be there, I will of course notice that and give a more defined timeline. But as of right now, we expect it to take place within the next 2 weeks.
And I just wanted the board to know, in talking with Alice, if you haven't had a chance to do that yet, I mean, she spent significant time just trying to figure out why this hasn't already occurred. And I'm personally very disappointed in the professionals that we've hired, that you have to chase them down to keep the project moving.
Well, and that's, the architects have been hired to manage the contract per se, and they have been reminded that. We also had a meeting towards the end of March to discuss groundbreaking. This will be scheduled after demolition is completed and the site is cleared. So I expect that to take place either probably sometime in May, but I will let the board know once we have that schedule defined.
And for that, Alice, for that groundbreaking, is that something that you will just coordinate and announce, or are we actually going to go through the chamber?
No, we'll coordinate that ourselves.
Okay.
The North Carolina Department of Transportation correspondence, I received a letter from NCDOT, which has been included on the agenda under new business, which has since been removed. And please be advised, David Allen Hancock, the Assistant Division Traffic Engineer, will be at the May 1st Board of Aldermen meeting to review the correspondence and then answer any questions that you may have. The fiscal year 24-25 budget, of course, we have it on schedule today for the public hearing. The final step after today will be the budget ordinance adoption that will take place on May 1st at the scheduled Board of Aldermen meeting. Last but not least, one announcement, the town of North Topsail Beach is registered to participate in the DOT's annual 2024 spring litter sweep. We will be participating on Saturday, April 20th. If anyone is interested or would like to volunteer, please feel free to let me know. The DOT will be providing vests, gloves, and bags. We will be issuing event information soon. That concludes my report.
Just an addendum to the beach sweep. You recall there's a group on Campuchon, a Navy Corpsman group, volunteer group, and they'd like to be involved, so might update them that this is going to occur on the 20th to get them involved with it.
Okay, this is not a beach sweep, it's a roadway sweep with the DOT, but I'll be more than happy to
I was reading beach.
to contact them to see if they're interested on cleaning up the roadways.
I was thinking beach too, so sorry about that.
I saw sweep, I saw beach.
So we have people for the beach sweep.
Yes, we always have plenty of people to sign up to volunteer to clean the beach, but nobody likes to clean the roadways, which is understandable.
And then next item on, does anybody else have any questions for Alice? No? The next item would be the open forum. Alice, do you know if we have anybody that's signed up?
Yes, we do. We have 2 people signed up for the first open forum. First is Steve Smith from 202 Ernest Drive. When you approach the podium, if you could just press the microphone so we can hear you. Thank you.
Mayor and Alderman, thank you. Let me address the board again. As I mentioned last month in the HOA that I'm a member, I'm representing the Bermuda Land and Homeowners Association, okay? And we used to be able to have our homeowners association, our annual meeting. It's one time a year. It may last an hour, it may last an hour and a half, but probably no more than that, okay? And it's just one time a year. We have our monthly meetings in the garage at one of the units there at Bermuda Landing. But we have, and there'd probably be 30, maybe 30, maybe 50% of owners may be there, okay? That's, so it's not that, everybody don't show up. So what I'm asking the board to consider it, to let us use it again. And because we have to go, ever since Florence, and we used it every year before Florence tore this building up, okay? Every year. And when Florence tore the building up, we had to go out and lease a place, and anywhere from $100 to $200 a month. I mean, not a month, but a meeting that we had to pay to have our meeting somewhere else off-site here, okay? So what I'm asking, if y'all reconsider it, and also, if you have any concerns or something like that, I'll be glad to answer them or try to answer them or call somebody that knows, okay? But I appreciate your support and everything, okay, and what y'all do. I know, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Second, we have Flynn Harold from 2145 Wicker Street.
Was that 2145 Wicker?
Yes, 2145 Wicker Street.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
The purpose that we came by this morning is our first time to be to one of the meetings, so we've lived here for 9 years. We appreciate, first of all, that you said the Pledge of Allegiance, and also you had the prayer, and we thank you for that. Our concern is about water supply. We, like I say, we've lived here for 9 years, and we've noticed over that 9-year period there's been a reduction somewhat over the peak times of the year when we have tourists down and we understand the reason why, that water demand would be higher. But I want to relate to you as a property owner and a taxpayer, and my wife Jennifer back there, she is very disgruntled about certain things, and one thing in particular this morning is this problem we have with the water. In July, and we have made phone calls, and we know that your folks are aware of the situation. I guess the reason for the question is we want to find out if and what has been done to rectify it. In July, it's extremely tough at the end of Wicker Street to have water flow enough to take a shower. My wife last year, on July 4th, we were going to go down to the fireworks and stuff, and we'd been working out in the lawn that day and stuff. Wanted to take a shower. We had no water. We had trickles of water that came out, and she had to take her hands literally to wash her hair like this, bring the water up. But when family comes, the situation, of course, adds more people. And at the house, when we have 3 bathrooms, and when you have family there and there's no water, hey, there's no water. Where's the water? So I know we're not the only people experiencing this, and I understand that, but I know that you need to know firsthand from people that live here and in person what we're experiencing. And we would very much love to get the feedback of what the plans are. And I know it's not one identity that's responsible for this. So I would love to know what the plan is to rectify it, or
So,
at least
Rick,
improve it.
Let me introduce, wait, hold on, let me introduce you. So you are certainly not the only person who has spoken to us. Alice and I had the privilege last 4th of July weekend of getting many calls, which ended up in calls to Onwassa. Alderman Grant is our person that's on the Onwassa board, so he can give you some information about the steps that we have taken
Okay.
to improve it this summer. We still have concerns though as well.
There's a lot of steps that have been taken, because we have the same,
Okay.
same concerns.
So we'll contact you. We'll do that. We certainly will. Yeah. It's kind of strange, it's like when you buy gallons of water at the supermarket, so you'll have water to wash your hair when,
Well, but
You saw the crane out there, right?
I did. Is that part of the plan? Well, that's encouraging. That's wonderful to hear, and we thank you.
But there's actually a few things. So as a result of the calls last July, they switched our south end of the town over to Surf City water. And that remains on Surf City water, which helps the demand on the rest of the town. They are also installing this booster pump that you see out here, but that won't be done till July, so that's not gonna help your showers.
October.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant October. October, so that's not gonna help this summer. But we have seen improvement, and we're continuing to work with Onwassa on what the additional future plans are because of all the growth in Sneed's Ferry. So,
Right, and just to address your issue, we talked about that, and we can handle it offline. Real quickly, what Joanne talked about last year to do a quick solution to that, that is why they reversed the flow out of Surf City. That picks up a couple of thousand of our customers in North Topsail that don't have to be served with the water from Onwassa. So that, we wanted to make sure, we found out that the new pump station, which is what's being built here, wasn't gonna be ready for 4th of July, using your example. That's why they agreed. They've already reversed that, and that the plan is to basically use that this year. And then the only reason it's not being done until October is, guess what? Lead time on getting pumps and everything.
contact you.
But that's what out there, you can see those pipe and stuff. The pump station's going right here. So once that's in, we think that's gonna take care of most of the issue. But we believe, knock on wood, that the steps that the mayor talked about will take care of that issue for this summer. Because it is a big issue.
So
Very
what's the geographic area, to be clear, that's reversed now?
it's from, it might be slightly north of the canals
Right.
to this, in, like all the canals that are in Surf City. They're actually Onslow County clients,
Right.
so it's all
Right.
of that.
So we should definitely, though, by not this summer, but the following summer, that should be all rectified. Because I know there's a lot of
Right.
houses going up north end, and
Right, and also long-term planning, and people don't like this, there's also been discussion about putting a water tank on the island.
I got you.
Because nobody is building a 1,500 square foot beach house here anymore, as you well know.
Yeah.
And with that is demand, pressure, and all those type of things have become a real issue for the town. And, and for Onwassa's gonna
understand,
spend
yep.
literally hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 5 years.
Well, thank you for the information. I might add
just
one more
let me
thing.
know.
It's great to see the new station that's going to go up, the fire station. Commend you on that because we certainly need that, and all the other great things that's going on. We appreciate your services.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And last summer, they also, during 4th of July weekend, they on Wausau was able to open the valves more, or something, turn up the volume, if you will.
I think it's still open.
And I know they did that. And one of the things we have had on Wausau reps in here on numerous occasions to voice our concerns, not just about the problems you're experiencing, but what all this growth right out here on the other side of this bridge is going to do overall to the big picture of water supply. So, and I know I happen to know personally there's a grouchy old guy that lives up on Coastal Drive that has one of those little things that you screw up to your hose spigot that when you turn it on gives you your PSI reading, and I know he was a real pain in the mayor's neck last year. So we're on top of this, and it's affecting
Good.
all of us here too.
Encouraging.
And everybody, and we're trying to do the best we can, and appreciate you coming in and letting us
Oh,
know where
certainly.
we are.
Well, thank you again. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that in mind, is there anybody else that would like to speak? Sorry about that. No? I know. Okay, then we're going to move on to the public hearing for the proposed budget for our fiscal year 2024, 2025, and I'm going to ask for a motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Alice, do you have anything that you want to?
No, nothing at this point in time, just per the statute. The board's required to hold at least one public hearing on the proposed budget. So that is this intent. So if anyone has any questions or further concerns, now would be the time to bring those forth. Our next budget meeting, or our next regular Board of Aldermen meeting is when you will consider and adopt the budget as well as ordinance going
And
forward.
I don't believe the board has any questions. Does the board have any questions? Okay. So, and from a public perspective, you certainly can ask any questions that you would like. We'll open up the floor. I will tell you that at this particular moment, we don't have any tax increases planned. And what we're doing is just sharpening the pencil wherever we can to make sure we can continue with all of the projects that we've got in front of us that need to be done.
And we have not received, just to relay, we have not received, it's been noticed, and we have not received any questions on the proposed budget at this point in time either.
Okay. Then do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then do we have Fran? Hi, Fran.
Yes. Hi, Mayor.
How are you?
Hello, board.
We are ready for your update.
Okay, great. I'll just follow up on kind of what Alice, Alice updated you on several projects, but I will get to it. Here's the April 2024 coastal update, the beaches update. Just a quick overview, as always, of the phases. Here we have phase 1 up near New River Inlet, and we have phase 5 down near the Surf City town limit. The 4 different phases.
Fran, your slides are not,
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to share my screen.
We got them twice, there's no slides. There we go.
Everyone can see that now?
Yes.
Okay. So here we have phase 1 up near New River Inlet, and phase 2 through 5 down near the Surf City town limit. Phase 1, there is a permit online, and we will discuss each of these projects individually. I have a slide for each of these ones for the phase 1, phase 4, and phase 5 project, and then Larry and Chris Gibson, are working on the project that will, occur through phase 1s through, all the way through phase 3 and a couple of years here. For the phase 1 project that happened last week, actually these graphics I have to turn into the board for the packet, about 10 days early. So this was not updated from the project from last week. But as you know, as Alice mentioned, the project placed material just south of the Topsail Reef condos, and work got all the way down here to, you know, the pretty much the project template down here. It was a narrower fill volume. We did have, but this does create, it's a critical buffer to that dune, and that dune in this area has sustained some erosion this winter. Putting the sand on the beach in front of that dune, it will be very helpful to maintain that dune and let that dune kind of restore itself. And hopefully right around now is when we will see some recovery of the beach. You know, the nor'easters in the wintertime energetic systems are usually will make way. We'll get some more southerly winds. Sometimes they are strong, but in general, you know, they're the milder April, May, June, even July is when we'll see some recovery of some natural recovery of the beach. So, you know, this was a good, you know, this did help out. And then in terms of phase one, and I know I always attend these quarterly Army Corps of Engineers shallow draft navigation updates to follow along to see what the Corps is up to. And Mayor Pro Tem Benson, he's pretty much always on there, and I think that's great. Mayor Benson, even, you know, Mayor Pro Tem Britt Benson, you know, makes sure that New River Inlet and the beaches, you know, in this area are getting some focus from the Army Corps of Engineers. So they did the last March quarterly update. They did, you know, mention, you see these yellow areas that are shoaling, that are issues, and they are planning a project where they're going to dredge this area and possibly some other ones and put that material on phase one on North Topsail Beach. And they're doing this about every other year, and their funding is good. And I would, you know, and talking with Chris Gibson about this, and as many of the board know, Chris Gibson he would like the Corps to kind of change the process and kind of move the pipeline down a little bit farther, because it does seem like this project could be more successful if we moved it down the beach a little bit more. But as the board is aware, this is a Corps project, and they like to do things, they don't like to change a lot. But if we, you know, I think if, you know, I can work with, you know, Alice and Mayor Pro Tem and Chris Gibson even to try to get them to kind of the Corps to maximize the volume placed and even to maybe optimize the placement. And obviously, this is, you know, it's a difficult thing because this is not our project, this is the Corps project, but it's something to look into, and this will, you know, happen here in the next season. But, you know, it's something that we should look into as a town. And then they also mentioned that the merit would be at the site here, it is scheduled to be in here at New River Inlet in May, to kind of clean up the entrance here to the, you know, the inlet entrance for navigation purposes. So, and then the merit is just a side caster. It doesn't really help, you know, any kind of beach placement, but, you know, it definitely helps with navigation, and that is the primary focus of the merit and the navigation dredging.
So Fran, just a little follow-on on that
Yes.
discussion. I did a follow-up with the Army Corps, and they're estimating that project at the ICW crossing will generate about 90,000 cubic yards to be placed on the beach. You'll recall maybe 2 years ago that volume was 160,000 cubic yards, so about half what was placed 2 years ago. And as Fran indicated, the Army Corps disposal area starts at Building 1 of Topsail Reef and moves south. And so what Fran's suggesting is that we move that disposal area a little bit further south to start with, so that sand will hang around in the north end for a longer period of time. But We're also hoping to get some money in the federal budget to continue dredging the channel of Jacksonville, which would also provide some sand there on the north end. So that will be in future years. But for this year, it's the work at clearing the ICW at the crossing. Okay, Fran, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, and Mayor Pro Tem Benson, I think it is really important for the town to, interact directly with the Corps to make sure that, they can maximize that volume. They said 90,000, which is, we're hoping more volume is better. And, even as, Alderman Leonard, it mentioned before, it is a slightly finer sand, but it's still very beach compatible. And it's a valuable, and then it can, help out the north end. For phase 5, the contractor, he's on schedule. As you know, we lost our buffer, but he's still on schedule to, complete the work. He's working Sundays. Even when he started back up here on Monday and yesterday, the production rates are good. So we're continuing to do that here. As Alice mentioned, I have coordinated with the regulatory agencies, CAMA / DCM, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Fish and Wildlife Service, the Wildlife Resource Commission. They all are in general agreement. They're all in agreement that we can work into May, but they really want to see, they want, the contractor and the project to really see, try to finish in April, but they will allow us to move into May. And, they want us to revisit that here, in mid-April, and we will do that.
Fran, just real quick.
Yeah.
So what's their view? It doesn't make any sense to have a week's worth of work left at the end of a project and starting over again. Is that kind of why they're going to work with us? If we can get it done quicker, that's fine. But otherwise, you got to have the whole thing start again to get basically just to finish up. Is that what you're selling them, I assume?
Yes, and that's kind of their story. I mean, even with the phase 1 project, the phase 1 projects usually have a tighter window because of the shorebird activity near inlets is really high in April. So they always say April 1, you can't do any more work. That's why we had to do that phase 1 work, last week. And then I asked for an extension into April because they usually give you to about April 15 up in phase 1. But the regulatory agency said you need to have the project started before we give you an extension. We can't give you straight up extension. So yeah, it's similar to what you said, is that they want to see a good faith effort in trying to complete the project by the deadline, but realizing that some delays can happen, weather, mechanical, what have you. So I'll keep going. Here's some phase 5 photos. It's very nice sand. It's and this is the it's all beach compatible, but it's good color and it's slightly coarser than native, but it's well within the range of compatible sand. But it's very good, and even then, there's basically no tilling of the beach is needed because the material is not compacted as some of the dredge stuff. Phase 4, that's still slated. We were hoping to get an early start on that, but it really looks like this will happen entirely next season. And another good thing, just last week, there was an article about the news about the 421 sand mine, that it did get its expansion permits. So some of that stockpiling and production issues at the mine should theoretically be solved. Obviously, we're going to stay on top of that, make sure that it is, and we will, obviously, we will continue to keep you informed and make sure that happens. And then back just to the project update. Phase 1, we had that March placement. The New River Inlet Management Plan, Master Plan EIS, that EIS is still under development. The board may have I'm not sure if the board has coordinated with the Corps, Mickey Sugg, on this recently, but I think that would probably be a good idea. For the state grant in phase 4, will happen next season. And the beach 5, beach nourishment, it's on schedule. And it's updating volumes daily, and the progress is good, and they are working Saturdays still in phase 5. And then, for the phase 1 project, as we talked about earlier, just, coordinating with the Corps to try to optimize that placement and maximize the volume if they can go, maybe a little wider. Sometimes in other areas you have quote unquote bend widener, or you can, extend the channel, 50 feet in either direction to kind of get a little bit more material on the beach. And then that's a kind of advanced maintenance as well that keeps the navigation channels open longer. So we will continue to explore that. And then, just still working with the finance officers and DEC associates regarding funding and on all the projects, grant coordination, and then we have permitting coordination on all projects. And that is it.
Does the board have any additional questions for Fran? Mm-mm. Thank you, Fran.
Okay.
Appreciate
thank
you coming. Okay, so the next item
Thanks.
would be a motion to go into closed session for North Carolina General Statute 143.318.11A.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we are back from closed session. I'd like to report that no action was taken in closed session. And so the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. And before I ask for a motion there, I did want to thank everybody who did stay and hang out here in the lobby till we came back. So thank you. We'll work on that. We'll work on that keg. Yeah. Okay, so the next item is the consent agenda, and I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now we're moving. So we're going to move on to continuing business, and I know that Chair Struther is not here. So Mayor Pro Tem, would you be willing to give us an update on the BISAC?
Right, just a quick update on the Beach Inlet Sound Advisory Committee. We were going to have a tour at the March meeting, but unfortunately, our coast engineer, Chris Gibson, wasn't available that day, so our next meeting is supposed to be next Tuesday, but again, he's going to be in Washington with the Topsail Island Shrine Protection Commission that's meeting with our federal representatives and congressional delegation in Washington, along with Manager Durian and Alderman Leonard. So basically where we are is the board approved the permitting process for the 5-year plan that Chris Gibson outlined to this board several months ago now. And hopefully what's called the one-stop meeting will occur in June, and the one-stop meeting is where all the federal agencies and state agencies that have any say in coastal development will come together to look at the 5-year plan that he presented to the board, which will turn reaches 1 through 3, which is the coastal engineering term rather than phases 1 through 3, into an engineered beach, hopefully by 2026, 2025, somewhere in that framework. That one-stop meeting is an important part of the permitting process because it gets all the agencies on the same page as to what the plan is. So we're looking forward to that occurring on time. And basically that's it for BISAC, unless Alderman Grant has.
Yeah, just real quick as a clarification, I think Mike said that, is what we did is we approved, when Chris had put together the process and what we needed to do the permitting, it would have been for calendar year 23, which would have meant we were hitting 2 different fiscal years. And so at the last board meeting we just told him we approved getting the funding in place to do all the permitting as quickly as we can. We didn't want to hold it up for 6 months because we didn't have the money in the right year. So other than that, I think it's a good comment.
Okay. And then the next item on the agenda is the town hall meeting room use, and I'll turn that over to Alderman Olszewski.
So, as Mr. Smith came and spoke about, I had made several calls to other towns to find out how they use their town hall meeting room, and I spoke with Oak Island, Emerald Isle, Wrightsville Beach, Oriental, Whiteville, New Bern, Surf City. So where towns typically have a recreational hall or facility, sometimes they're allowing meetings there. Some towns are allowing their boardroom to be rented for business meetings. A couple actually rent for social meetings, but I do think we still need to consider this so that an annual meeting of our HOAs, that we allow town hall to be rented or given up for that hour and a half so that we can allow the citizens of North Topsail Beach to use their town hall, which they pay for a meeting once a year with the HOAs who do not have a facility on their premises to have a quorum of their, residents to have at their annual meeting. So that's what I'm asking the board to consider, and that we can go back to the towns that I called, which I provided to Ms. Darien and the mayor, all the contacts that I spoke to, gave them their name and number, and on their websites, the ones that do allow it also have a schedule as to what they charge and what type of meetings they allow.
Does anybody from the board have any questions?
How many HOAs do we have in the town, do we know?
I would think more than 20.
Because every condo group's got one, right?
Every condo group, so Heron K, Calinda K, Bermuda Landing, St. Regis, everybody that's got, but some of those larger communities have their own space that they can
St.
use.
Regis.
So for the smaller communities, you'd be looking at under 20. So once a year, under 20, maybe half of them would actually ask the town for use. So this isn't, we're not looking at the frequency being high. And it's a once-a-year meeting, as Mr. Smith pointed out, under a couple of hours to be able to use the town facility.
So I do have some, Connie, please finish what you have to.
Oh, just to finish up real quickly, I know in the past that we used to do it. In fact, myself, before I was on the board, I had rented out the room too. However, at the time, there was no audiovisual equipment at all. And there was generally, we had a police officer that would be here in the building if somebody was here on after hours. Okay, that's it.
I was going to say, in the whole time that I've lived here, I think I've been, and I was part of Topsail Dunes HOA, I think there was one meeting here. And I have serious concerns about saying that we can limit them to the annual meeting for any HOA, because that meeting I happened to come to for Topsail Dunes, I'm just looking at Hannah because she was running it, was for a special assessment. I mean, it was a regularly scheduled meeting. I'm just saying things come up where they might need to get their membership together. So saying, we'll do it just for your annual meeting, it's just not going to work. And I also have concerns about the amount of money just in the artwork alone and the equipment that we now have here that we didn't have any of that then. So, I mean, those are just my concerns.
Okay.
Let's go in
Go
order.
ahead. Where are we going?
Why don't we go-
Mike was up first. Go ahead, and then I have something.
So, my concern would be, I believe we have like $75,000 worth of audiovisual equipment in this room, would have to be secured somehow. I believe that if we were to do this, it would have to be during regular business hours. We can't ask staff or to work overtime on a weekend or whenever HOA might want to meet, so it would have to be during regular business hours. So securing the room in terms of the audiovisual equipment, I don't know what we do about the food service area, how we would handle that, but we'd have to definitely come up with a way to secure the audiovisual equipment, and I think the meeting should only be limited to the hours that Town Hall is open to the public.
It would have been helpful for purposes of this discussion if each of us had a piece of paper with each of the towns that was contacted and what their basic policy is, yes or no, or if yes, what they allow in one piece of paper, rather than just getting it verbally. And then secondary to that, I know I've been here too, and I've actually briefed the Topsail Reef Homeowners Association here years ago at one of their annual meetings, but this room is not the room that it was years ago when it was being used routinely by homeowners associations and others. I mean, I was at after a funeral service reception here when Don Martin's wife passed away. I mean, it was used for a lot of things, but it was a different room then. And citing many of the examples that Mayor Pro Tem just cited in terms of cost and artwork and electronics and everything else. I think we may have gone a bridge too far here for that.
So, Tom, I apologize, but I had provided to Alice and the mayor a list of everyone I had spoken to, and so if we didn't get that in the packet, my apologies, but that information can be provided again. But I will stand strong on this in that the citizens of North Topsail Beach paid for this room. And most of them are pretty responsible folks. And to be able to have an HOA meeting here, whether it's an annual or a special meeting or anything else, if they ask the town and they sign up and they're going to be responsible, they can also sign something that says they're liable if there's any damage. But while we have audiovisual equipment here, it is certainly the folks who pay their taxes, it's their equipment as well. They're not signing up to use the equipment, but I am still saying that this should be something we do, because what we're doing is telling our own citizens, go off the island, go away from your own town hall, that we can't accommodate you. And I don't think that's the right message to send to our citizens.
Well, I will also say, I believe, and Alice, can you confirm for me, but up until this budget year, was there a fee still included if somebody wanted to rent out town hall, or was it last year?
There was in years.
Previous?
There was in previous years past,
And we
yes.
haven't had any requests.
Since I've been
that's
here,
part
I
of
can
it,
say
too.
we've probably been, we had maybe 2 requests in total since I've been here.
And the reason nobody's been requesting this, because after the hurricane, it wasn't an option. So I don't think people think it's on the menu again. So if we can put it back on the schedule on our menu of something they can have for a fee, I think you will get more requests when it is then presented that it's available.
I'm not sure that's necessarily true. When did it come off of the fee schedule? Do you know, Alice?
Is it still on there technically?
go.
Yes.
And what's the fee, Kate?
So just for clarification again, how many homeowners, or how many towns were contacted? How many towns said they do out of those that were contacted, and how many said that they don't?
Yeah.
So I can write it down.
Most did not use their boardroom, from what
Okay.
I read.
And
Do you have it?
I don't have a count that way, but half the ones that said they didn't allow it also had a separate recreational facility that they
Okay.
allowed.
If you want me to read it off, I can read it off.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Oak Island, they have an event center and recreation center, and HOA groups and other resident and non-resident groups usually use those facilities for a fee. They don't typically allow others to use their board meeting room unless affiliated with the town. Emerald Owl, they have a room at their community center that they let use. Wrightsville Beach, they don't have a meeting room that others can use. Oriental, they have rented for social events. They allow use for meetings if dates are available at no charge once the person has filled out their reservation form. Whiteville, they allow the use of council chambers. If the group is governmental in nature, there is no fee. If non-governmental, they have a fee schedule. New Bern, you left them 2 voicemails and did not receive a response.
They
Serves-
did call back, and they don't allow at this point.
Okay, Surf City, they do not rent their boardroom, but you were going to discuss with Carla further.
She called me back because she was interested in why we were looking at the issue, and it was a concern of theirs as well.
Well, they have the community center.
Yeah, they have
too,
the
though.
community
And
Yeah,
the
so-
Welcome Center.
Well, that's what I meant. Yeah, the welcome center.
And, yeah, and this list was distributed.
Okay.
I thought I saw it. Just
I
a
didn't,
question.
so I apologize.
Just a question.
So, but for clarity now, my understanding is now it's still on the menu, so that if somebody calls, we can still request and they can still rent. So evidently, it's still out there as an option.
It is still out there, but I would say that if we're going to go down that road, that the policy needs to be, there needs to be a defined policy. It needs to be refined. Because right now, I'm not comfortable with making the decision. It's up to the town manager's discretion, and in the past, there's been, it's been open for any type of use. So anyone that would, if they wanted to hold a birthday party and have food items here, that has been permissible. So
So what I'm hearing is we need to take a look at the policy.
Right.
Well, I'm also hearing that we need the board's input as to whether this item should even stay on the fee schedule. I think that's the question. Should it stay on the fee schedule? If the board says, yes, it should stay on the fee schedule, then I think we need a more refined policy.
Can I just ask a quick question? And Alice, it may not be, and maybe Caitlin knows too. In the fee schedule, does it, because I don't know that I've seen anybody use this. I'm gonna use the Turtle People as an example. They only use it during working hours here. Okay, I mean, I have less of an issue with this, you know, because then, is Sunday okay? Is it, no, but my point though is that if it's during working hours, and we've got somebody here, I know it's a pain, but to me, that's a different decision for me
But
than
that's
we're
an
opening up to
education.
7.
That's, no, if we're gonna use the Turtle Hospital as, that is a town-sponsored
No, I'm
educational event, that's so,
Right now, so I was going with just the fact that it's during working hours.
yeah, okay.
That was my only issue, is that it was during those periods. Now, I know that's tougher for an HOA meeting, you know, generally,
But to the mayor's point, we now have to decide if this is an issue that we want to continue to
Right.
look at, and then whether, you know, I need to work with Alice and others on refining the policy that we could approve.
So I believe what we could do, and I'm looking to Brian and Alice, is if Laura would like to make a motion on the topic of to whether this stays on the fee schedule or not, then we could vote that way to determine if it goes further.
So I'd like to make a motion that renting the boardroom stays on the fee schedule.
And do we have a second for discussion?
I'll second it, just so we can get clarity.
Is there any discussion, further discussion on the topic?
Let me just make a.
What is
Yes,
the
but
motion?
hold on, let Brian go.
What's the motion?
I don't know that it's advisable to limit it to just HOAs.
Correct.
And I don't know that it's advisable to limit it to only organizations that don't have their own facility. So there are and if we're going to say in the town manager's discretion, that discretion needs to be tied to some specific subjective criteria. Excuse me, objective criteria. In other words,
prefer subjective.
Which we could do.
hours of operation,
Right.
what the fee's going to be.
Check the box for her, it can't be.
Yeah,
So the
What the fee-
policy can be reviewed if we.
right, right. And, you know, I'm not saying it's a bad idea at all. I'm just saying it's one of those things. The idea may have sprang from the use by an HOA. That's an integral part of our community, but what happens if Hate Group X says, we're in Eastern North Carolina this month and we want to rent your board meeting to,
Or Brian is just another resident here. That's my
Right.
property owner wants to use it. What's the difference between that and HOA?
Right.
There's still a factor.
I'm just throwing that out there not to overly complicate the thing. I'm just saying we need to have a objective policy and a clear understanding of the use of the facility. Is that going to require a police officer here? Is that going to require an IT person here, to Mr. Benson's point, or
Which takes the fee up.
going to secure our stuff? They, you know, that kind of thing.
So, but the motion is to whether we're going to leave the fee on the fee schedule.
The
That's your
motion is whether we're leaving the rental of the boardroom on the fee schedule, and if the motion passes, then I'm recommending that we have a review of the policy around renting the room.
So if we vote yes, does it stay on or does it come off? Whether we're is the part I need to know
if-
exactly what we're voting for.
If we vote yes, it is staying on the fee schedule.
If we vote yes, is that staying on the fee schedule for the same fee, or do we, or is there discussion?
That's way understated if we have a police officer here, so.
So I think we got, trying to do two things with one motion. I think you should simplify the motion. My point is, until we have a policy, we shouldn't have it on the fee schedule, because the
It's-
policy we have is not adequate.
So
So I
it's-
You
think
do have a
that we
policy.
should
I'm sorry,
first
but,
vote
wait,
on,
Alice wants to clarify.
You do have a policy,
But it's open-ended, right?
yes. It needs
Refining.
refined.
So it's currently
say I've
on the
ever
fee schedule,
seen it.
and we do have a policy. So the question is, are we if my motion is that we leave it on the fee schedule, so if you're voting yes, we do. and then there has to be a review of the policy.
So until the policy is reviewed and then approved by the board, no one could rent the room.
They can make a
Which-
request now to the town manager because it's on the fee schedule, which was just clarified for us.
So are there additional questions? Are we ready?
If the vote is in the affirmative, that means that it's still on the books, the existing policy is still on the books,
Yes.
and we're allowing someone to apply, but we're not mandating that that request be granted.
Yes.
Right.
And no means you're taking it off the fee schedule and getting rid of the policy?
I think, well, if you take it off the fee schedule, I think, intended or not, the consequence would be, because I'm assuming the policy talks about paying the fee, then it, yeah, I mean, I'd just say if you're gonna keep it on the fee schedule, then there should be a follow-up motion that, you know, that
Pause the policy
it's,
until there's
that's
clarification.
suspended until
We have a review
policy's
of the
revised.
policy.
Okay.
Okay.
I bet that's a policy.
All right, so I'm going to start with Alderman Grant.
I was hoping you'd start the other way.
I'm glad that she's starting that way.
I just don't think there's enough clarity. I vote no.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Laurie. Go ahead. Ms. Olszewski? Yes. Okay. No, yes, no.
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 Okay, so it fails at this point. So my understanding is the fee will be removed from the fee schedule, and the policy will not be active.
But don't we now need a motion to basically, is it suspend, Brian?
Yeah, a motion to
Policy.
suspend the,
Subject to doing a review of the policy, okay, to find out what could be done.
right, with
So I
a,
would make a motion, Mayor, to suspend the policy pending a review of the policy to see what we can do and what will be agreeable to the board.
Okay, do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, should we go back around again? So I'm assuming Alderman Grant, you're going to vote yes, since you made the motion. Would that be correct?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Ms. Olszewski?
Nay.
Nay. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Alderman? Lemon?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it sounds like that has passed, and we will be taking a look at that current policy to see if it can be updated in some fashion.
And I would recommend that Alderman Ozewski be the point person to start the process, reviewing that process, given the lack of a town clerk and other duties that the mayor has, and then work with the town manager once you have written a policy that, revise the policy that you think it should be, the way it should be written, then work with the town manager to bring something back to the board.
I'm happy to do that since I've got all the contacts at all the other towns.
Okay. Then it sounds like we can move on to the item that was added, which was the Villa Capriani crosswalk. And I'm
But
gonna
don't we
turn-
want to do policies and procedures first?
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Oh,
skipped that one.
sorry.
No, I'm still right, yeah. Into continuing business is
Right.
where we put the Villa Cap.
Right, and just real quick on that issue, we talked about, last time about crosswalks and everything else, and I think the consensus of the board was that Villa Capriani was unique in terms of the warning and everything else, and my concern was, after having this and discussing it with a couple of people, that I don't want to wait until next fiscal year to make that move, that we have, as I understand it, the money in the budget for this, Alice, that we can take care of the money. And so I would propose that we go ahead and move forward with that as quickly as Al is able to do that, and get that in now and not wait till the earliest July of next year. So that would be my motion.
Okay, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
I agree with doing that. I think it's a great idea. But I also want to bring in the point that we didn't discuss earlier when we were talking about crosswalks. And we have crosswalk cautionary signs at several different locations in town. And when you're approaching a crosswalk area, the cautionary sign should also have the little placard below the big diamond that says 35 miles per hour to warn motorists that there's people crossing the road ahead and they should be slowing down. It may not be a legal speed limit, but it's a cautionary speed limit. So I think we should be getting those cautionary signs put up on all of the warning crosswalk signs in town. The only place that I've seen it throughout the whole town is the Richard Peters Park. The rest of the crosswalk areas don't have that 35-mile-an-hour cautionary sign on the post with the crosswalk ahead sign.
And I believe that's why we were not recommending any change to the budgeted dollars for crosswalks. Because there's still a lot of work that has to be done and additional crosswalks identified.
Right, but given the fact that we're going to spend the dollars we are to put the crosswalk modifications in place at the Villa, it won't cost that much more to put up the cautionary signs at the other posts in town.
But my only point is we haven't been presented those costs. I don't think that anybody has given us that yet.
We don't know what that
Well,
cost is.
I'm talking about existing crosswalk warning signs.
I know, I'm just saying that as part of the budget process, we were given a cost for the villa. So when we're asking if we have the money to approve it, we know we have the money to approve it. We just haven't been given a cost for that. That's all I'm simply saying. Now, if.
For timing and ordering.
Right, so I think we need to stick with this one motion. It would be my recommendation right now. But I do think, Mike, that needs to be added to the list that Al is working on so he can, get those ordered. Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
And then along with that, some additional direction to town staff to add the cautionary speed limit signs to existing crosswalks to get the information on cost and that.
Perfect.
Okay, so then we're going to move on to attorney's report.
A report? Well,
Okay.
actually, it's not a report. It's an agenda item. I'll get to it when we get to that.
Okay, then we're going to move on to new business, which is Alderman Grant with policies and procedures.
Yeah, I just think that we had passed a policies and procedures about assignments and stuff, and we've received a number of applications for different boards and stuff, so I would ask that people take a look at that and understand when they have to apply, what the deadlines are, what the qualifications are. The good news is we've had over 10 people already apply under this for the ones that we're going to be looking at in May. And so I would look at that, and also I think we're going to take a look and review some of our policies and procedures to make sure that they're clear in terms of what the qualifications are and things like that. So I think it's just a heads up to people to keep in mind. It is posted right now, you still have time, but you also have deadlines associated with making applications.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, if I may, just one thing that was a typo or Scrivener's error in the existing policy is subsection E, and it's a section that talks about you're not eligible to serve if you've already served 2 consecutive terms, but then it goes on to provide for a waiver. The word "not" needs to be inserted in that, so that reads, "The policy may be waived if the Town Board of Aldermen determines that the individual's reappointment would not be detrimental to the functioning of that board, commission, committee, or authority." So, I think it's all understood. We talked about that at the time we were developing the policy, but for the public's information, that as it's kind of nonsensical the way it reads right now until you insert that word "not" in there. So,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to the registration and sponsorship for the NC Beach Inlet and Waterway Association 2024 Local Governments Meeting on May 9th and May 10th. It's being held in Emerald Isle at the Islander Resort or Hotel. And I believe, Alice, this is your item, but I think you were asking for a motion on the different level that we would like to sponsor?
Yes, if the board wishes to be a sponsor once again, I would ask that you make a motion to choose the level of sponsorship. Historically, you've always went with the silver level, which is $1,200, and then you get 2 attendees that their registration fee is waived.
Okay.
How many people do we have go? Do we have any idea how many people right now are planning to go?
I don't know.
No.
We show of hands maybe around the table here? Who's
2.
planning to go?
Well, 2 people have their hands up right now.
You planning to go?
I'm halfway up. I was just actually trying to figure out my schedules.
Okay.
I haven't looked at
Mike?
mine yet.
I'm not going to be able to go, but I would raise my hand for Chairman Strother for the
So that would
BISAC,
be
because I know
3.
he
Yeah.
wants to go.
So that would be at least 3, possibly 4.
Yeah.
So,
What do we get for sponsorship levels? Alex?
Silver is 2 attendees, $1,200, and they raised the fees this year.
How much is it per attendee if we have more than what we sponsor? Do you know? Yeah, but I don't know if they're,
You know, it says I would give her the discretion if.
And it always makes the most financial sense to just do the silver.
And pay extra.
Yes.
That was my question.
that was my question.
Yeah,
well, I'll
but I
make the
can let you know
motion
what the
that we
registration is.
go ahead and do that.
The silver, which is $1,200 and 2 attendees.
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then the next item that was on the agenda was the DOT item that was moved to May. So then we have open forum. Do we have anybody who has signed up for the second open forum?
No.
Is there
Nobody has
anybody that
signed
would
up.
like to say, okay, we've got people. Hannah, would you like to come first, and then we'll come over to this side?
Hannah McLeod, 1835 New River Inlet Road. I just want 2 things. I was president of a Topsail Dunes Association for several years prior to Hurricane Florence and with everything new. And when I called several times to try to see if we could get this facility, I was told that there was nobody here on Saturdays, and so they wasn't rented on Saturdays. We have St. Regis, they have rooms, and the library has a room for $25. I've always paid when I came here, even before the hurricane. So, that charging a fee, I think, is certainly something we should do. And meetings are always on Saturday. Homeowners meetings are always on Saturday. They're never during the workday. So that to just take it for what it's worth. And on the other side of this are the Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment. I can't express to you how important it is to have alternates on these boards. That is the most important, almost the most as important as being on the board itself. Those are the people who should be moved up if there is a vacancy, because they are familiar with procedures. They've gone through training. They have been to the meetings. So it's important to, I was very disappointed when you limited the number of alternates, because I think they're very important. So if you would take that into consideration, I think that would be very helpful. Right now we're short, and we had last week, we had someone who had to recuse and someone who had scheduled. You've changed our meeting dates and times, and so, they're making it even harder for the people who were on the board who plan for, the second Thursday of every month, and now it's the first Thursday and maybe the last Thursday, or this one at 6, and, so if you would take that into consideration, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And so would the board.
Thank you. Jeff?
Jeff Meyer, 2224 New River Inlet Road, Unit 138. I would like the board to take in consideration when we hire new police officers, new fire personnel, and even new staff here at Town Hall, that we take time at a meeting to introduce these people in person. I think a lot of times if you put a face with a name, it goes a long way, but especially our firemen and our police officers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? No? Okay. For the mayor's report, mine will be brief as well. I want to thank staff for all the work that has gone into the budget and streamlining that process for the board. You certainly have been able to provide us with everything we've needed at all the meetings so that we're able to keep the process moving and stay to the timeframes that we need to. I also wanted to express a deep thank you to the fire and the PD for the unfortunate house fire that we did have in North Topsail Beach. I know that family, certainly it's been rough for them with the fire at the duplex a few years back. So I know that that has taken a lot of time, and I know that the family is also very appreciative for all the efforts of North Topsail Beach. So thank you all. And Connie, would you like to
All
start?
right. I want to thank everybody for coming and for watching at home. I want to remind everybody that May 1st begins turtle nesting season, so turn out those oceanfront lights. And as the warmer weather attracts the sea turtles, we also have a lot of people that'll be visiting our beach, and as such, safety is one of our highest priorities here. And already I'm seeing beach issues and other issues, such as climbing on the dunes and digging holes. And as everybody's aware, our ordinance states no holes deeper than 12 inches. And it's a deadly thing. We all saw the news report of the little girl that died in, I believe it was Florida. And that's not unusual. Unfortunately, it happens. I've also noticed other additional issues, such as road hazards like bicyclists riding 2 and 3 abreast, and inattentive drivers looking at the seagulls and stuff. And I feel like as a public safety issue, we really need to address this as a board, as a town. I'm not really sure of the way to do this, so that's why I'm bringing it up here, if we need to tell Alice or how we need to do this. I'm glad we're moving forward with the crosswalks. I think that really addresses a big safety issue. I also think we need a more visible police presence on the road, on the beach with patrols, and I'm sure there's probably plans in place, but I want to make sure. We have some great officers, and I respect and appreciate them and what they do, and I'm well aware that we have limited officers and resources, but I do think a visible police presence goes a long way. For an example, I was at the 4x4 drive-on access this weekend, and there was an officer out of her car talking to people in a friendly manner, informing and educating them, and really putting forth a great image for the town. That was wonderful. I love that kind of engagement. I think it makes the town look good, makes the police look good, makes people maybe think before they do something that maybe they shouldn't be doing. And not every violation has to end in a citation. The police visibility and engagement enforcement really make this town safer. And I don't think that, I'm not calling for any new rules or regulations or ordinances, just some of the ones we already have out there. We need to really make sure we're looking at them. So as I said, I wasn't sure how to bring this up, so I'm kind of looking at my fellow board members for their input. I'm, like I said, not asking for any new rules or anything, just seeing if anybody else thinks that there's any challenges that they see that they believe need to be addressed, or opportunities with our current ordinances that they would like to see happen for a good, safe summer season. That's my report.
Well, I'll circle back around to my input on your question at the end of my report. I'd like to appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate the police and fire, the good job you did with the structure fire last week. Got, as was mentioned earlier, we've got the Washington, D.C. Trip coming up here on the 15th through the 17th. 15th, we have a meeting scheduled with FEMA Tuesday, the 16th, we have meetings with Senators Budd and Tillis and Congressman Murphy and Rouser. And I'm sure y'all can guess what we'll be talking about with Congressman Murphy and Rouser concerning our Cobra bill and where it is and what's the prognosis for length of time to get it through the Congressional Budget Office scoring wicket. And then on Wednesday, we have a meeting with the Corps of Engineers. We'll be talking about money for dredging in the New River and the New River Inlet and money for the following year. Mike mentioned to me that we're budget-wise short on 2025 fiscal year projections for that. So we'll see what we can do about getting that into the mix. As far as public safety right now, got the season coming up. It seems like we already have the issue that we seem to have every season with the traffic to and from the driving beach at the point. It's already started. I was out on my bike on Sunday. Almost got run off the road a couple times. They're big, loud, fast trucks. They're going fast because they want to get on the gas and hear their loud exhaust. They're young men. I get it. I'm old enough to know what glass packs are. I had a car with them on. They make a lot of noise. It's cool. It's great. But it's not cool when you're in a big truck on a narrow road and there are pedestrians and bicyclists. And what I would like to see is for us to start enforcing our speed limits up north, and I'd like to see us start enforcing our noise ordinances as they pertain to motor vehicles up north. We have a town ordinance, and within our ordinances, Section 7 lays out several ordinances that can be applied. The state has a noise ordinance, and maybe if we start heavily enforcing up there on Saturdays and Sunday afternoons, when these guys have been up there all afternoon, I'm sure just drinking iced tea and getting back in their vehicles and wanting to step on it hard as they come by, basically usually around the area of Dolphin Shores. They either come around Seagull Lane and step on it when they get in a straightaway, or they come around the Tiki Bar and make the left and step on it when they get on the straightaway. They're loud, they're fast, and they're unsafe. And I would expect this year, maybe earlier, sooner rather than later, we could take some proactive action to settle this down. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, thank you all for coming out, and I wholly support the comments that my two fellow aldermen just gave you. In addition to the heartfelt thanks for the heartfelt sorrow for the people who lost their home in the fire, we should also want to thank the support that our fire department got from Surf City, Holly Ridge, and Sneed's Ferry to keep that thing contained, because that house was very close to neighboring houses. Could have been a chain reaction. So I did thank those communities, fire departments for helping us. And I do want to bring something to your attention. You'll see Chief Sword back there has his Wolfpack red shirt on. Both the NC State men's team and the NC State women's team are in the Final Four, so go Wolfpack.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Olszewski.
Yes, I just wanted to chime in on some of the public safety issues. We're already seeing unleashed dogs running on the beach, and it creates a public nuisance when people don't understand our leash laws. So I would say I'd really like to see some increased police presence on the beaches, even during these times of spring breaks, and also just from the weekends now going forward, because the unleashed dogs with kids running around, it's just a recipe for not good. Same thing with people already digging holes in the beach. I know I personally fell in one last year. So we need to kind of, if we can, have more police presence. I would like to see us, I'm in the straightaway on Island Drive, as soon as people hit North Topsail Beach. Coming from Surf City, we've got a long straight place there, and we are seeing speeds high again. And those of us that go out in the roadway and stand and put our hands up to stop traffic, to get across, I really think we need to see, if we could get our officers, and I appreciate everything you do, to, even if you're sitting in cars down in our area, to start slowing that traffic so people don't think they can just speed through that long straightaway from, say, Phil Harris Drive up past Andrews Produce and just get that speed going, because it creates quite a danger. I won't even ride my bike down there. You know, that's just too fast. So the other thing that I'd like to say, we need to take a look. There's a large cleared lot on Wicker Street as well. And for the gentleman that came that is on Wicker Street with water problems, we need to take a hard look at what gets approved for development there if we know we already have water pressure issues in that area. And so that kind of concludes my remarks, and welcome spring and welcome to the season. And I will be attending a couple other events up on Camp Lejeune in the coming months.
Thank you. Alderman Grant?
Okay, went to 2 county meetings, keeping our relationship going with them. I think they're going to be an important part of our budget this year. I mean, the more we can do, and so I think that's moving along very well. I attended for the first time, I got it right, the North Topsail Shores Baptist Church did the sunrise service. Apparently I was more surprised than I thought. There had to be close to 1,000 people there. The interesting part is, one of our officers showed up, and he came at 20 after 7 when people were leaving, not when they got there. They had people out there. I was shocked that, I mean, we probably ought to rethink, if they're gonna get 1,000 people out there, we probably need to get somebody out there a little bit early, but I was shocked at how many people. I mean, the beach was full, and I was up in the building there, and there had to be like 200 or 300 people in the structure besides the ones that were on the beach. Wow. I mean, the parking lots were full. I mean, believe me, it was a surprise to me. It was a great service, but wow, there was a lot more. I guess, Chief, that was more people we've ever seen at that thing by far. So that was good. But I think it's a visibility thing as well. And then I wanted to thank Alice and her team for the budget stuff. I feel very good about where we are. I think, as the mayor pointed out, we're not going to be looking at any kind of tax increase, and I would say in the foreseeable future, because of the planning that we've done and doing the things. We've got a lot of fix-ups this year, as Caitlin has pointed out, that are going to put us in good stead going forward. A lot of things that you're having to fix that we haven't done. The firehouse is somebody commented on is one of those. To get that done. And so again, thanks for coming. Happy spring, and like I said, it was a great service. I'll definitely be going there next year. It was definitely worth the time.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.